July 8th at 9:09 p.m., Archangel Michael sends a final warning. You've been blind to the truth, but this message could save you from heartbreak and betrayal. Do not skip or ignore. There are moments in your life when the clock ticks differently, when time itself holds its breath. July 8th at exactly 9:09 p.m. is one of those moments. It is not just a point on a calendar or a passing evening hour. It is a divine checkpoint. And Archangel Michael, in full celestial armor, is sending you one last message, his voice echoing louder than the noise of your doubts. He has fought for you in silence, protected you in the unseen, but tonight, that silence breaks. His sword is drawn, not against enemies of flesh, but against the betrayal that hides behind a smile. You felt the disturbance, haven't you? The sudden heaviness when you're alone. The moments when your spirit whispers warnings that your mind quickly silences. The delay that came out of nowhere. The misaligned messages. The recurring dreams that don't feel like dreams anymore. These were not coincidences. They were spiritual alarm bells. But you ignored them. You chalked them up to paranoia or stress or just another off day. But Michael is here now, not with soft whispers, but with a final warning that demands your attention. He's not here to console. He's here to confront. Because someone you trust is carrying a mask. Behind it is not love but deception. You've been looking the other way because you couldn't accept the truth. But Michael says you can't afford to be blind any longer. The betrayal is closer than you think. The heartbreak is preventable, but only if you listen. Only if you open your spiritual ears and see past what's being shown to you on the surface. Tonight, your soul is being summoned. And if you dare walk away from this message, then July 8th at 9:09 p.m. will pass, and take your divine protection with it. Type I am awakened to get the blessing 2929. You've walked through seasons where everything felt still on the outside but chaotic within. You smiled in public while your soul silently screamed. You made excuses for their behavior, convinced yourself you misunderstood their intentions, and stayed loyal to the illusion you were fed. Archangel Michael watched you compromise your peace to keep the peace. You watched you betray your discernment just to protect someone else's shadow. And still, he shielded you. Still, he fought the things you couldn't name. But now, the veil must be torn. This final warning isn't about punishing you. It's about waking you up. Michael is not angry at your blindness. He's heartbroken by it. Because he knows the price you've paid for trusting too deeply, too long. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. You were targeted not for your weakness, but for your light. And the one closest to you knew it. They fed off your spirit, your time, your vulnerability. They masked themselves as your ally while planting the seeds of confusion and delay in your life. And every time your intuition tried to speak, they smothered it with guilt. You're just overthinking, they'd say. But your spirit knew better. That is why Michael chose this specific time, July 8th, 9:09 p.m. It is the last possible minute before a spiritual door shuts. That's not poetic symbolism. It's divine timing. Because if you miss this moment, you will carry a soul tie that was never yours to bear. You will open the next chapter of your life with poison from the past hidden in your foundation. And what's worse, you will invite this betrayal into your future disguised as loyalty. Michael says this is the moment to cut the cord. No more delay. No more second chances to what was always a first warning. Type I am chosen to get the blessing 4141. You've seen the signs, even if you pretended not to. The phone calls that suddenly stopped. The energy shift when you entered the room. the subtle sabotages that looked like clumsy mistakes, the conversations that never added up. These weren't accidents. Michael was showing you the pattern. You were supposed to notice, but fear kept you silent. Love kept you loyal, and your spirit kept weeping. What you're feeling isn't confusion. It's revelation fighting to break through. This message is here to confirm what you already know. It's not coming. It's already happening, and it's time to confront it. Archangel Michael has drawn his line in the spiritual sand. He's placing himself between you and what's been draining you. But his power is only activated when you obey. Free will is your gift, but also your responsibility. If you keep the door open to this betrayal after tonight, he will not interfere again. This is your test. This is your line in the sand. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. But only if you act. Only if you declare spiritual war on what has declared quiet war on you for months, maybe even years. Type I am protected to get the blessing 5252. It's not just a relationship being exposed. It's a spiritual contract that must be broken. Someone has tethered themselves to your energy, not out of love, but out of control. They cannot grow, so they make sure you don't either. They do not heal, so they ensure you stay wounded. You feel heavy because you're carrying emotions that were never yours. You feel tired because they've been feeding off your strength. Michael says enough. The final warning is not about fear, it's about freedom. You are being handed a sword, not a shield. You are meant to cut, not cover. The betrayal won't come with flashing lights. It will come with the same voice that once comforted you, the same hands that once held yours. That's what makes it so dangerous. Because you're not just breaking trust, you're breaking familiarity. You're letting go of someone you once prayed to keep. But what you didn't know is that they came in as a lesson, not a lifetime. And Archangel Michael says, you've passed the test, but you're still refusing to graduate. This is your moment. Pass through the fire, walk through the silence, and come out on the other side whole again. Type I am rising to get blessing 5678. You may think this is only about heartbreak or betrayal, but Archangel Michael says the roots go much deeper. What you're facing is not simply human deceit. It is a spiritual assignment designed to delay your destiny. The person who wounded you was not always aware of what they were being used for. Sometimes the most dangerous weapons are people unaware they're being wielded. That's why this feels confusing. That's why your soul has wrestled in the dark while your heart kept making excuses. The enemy doesn't show up with horns, he shows up wearing what you've been praying for. Michael's warning is not just to shield you from betrayal, it is to separate you from a curse. Yes, a curse. A cycle. A spirit that keeps showing up through different faces but always leads to the same disappointment. That's why you've felt this before. That's why this pain feels familiar, even when the person is new. The spirit is ancient, but it's been hiding behind temporary smiles. This cycle is designed to wear you down until you stop trusting your own discernment. Until you forget who you are. Until you make peace with staying stuck, just so you don't lose anyone else. But Archangel Michael will not allow you to decay silently. Not when your calling is so loud. Not when your future holds healing for others. That's why this betrayal is so loud, because your breakthrough is louder. The enemy doesn't attack the weak. He attacks the rising. And you, beloved, are rising. This final warning is not to scare you, it's to stir you. There's power waiting on the other side of obedience. But first, you must cut what's killing you. You must stop giving CPR to what heaven is trying to bury. You must choose your promise over your past. Type I am deliver to get the blessing 6060. Don't think for a moment that this pain is random. Every delay you faced, every missed opportunity, every time you felt like the door slammed in your face, it wasn't always coincidence. Many of those setbacks were the fruit of you being entangled with the wrong spirit. This person blocked your favor without even trying. When God tried to open doors, they carried the doubt that shut them again. When you felt momentum, they spoke confusion into your plans. When you dreamed, they drained. This wasn't just toxic, it was demonic. And Michael says, enough. You are being unhooked from something invisible. It's not about words spoken, it's about cords tied. Soul cords, spiritual access. You're not just releasing a name, you're closing a portal. You're not just ending a chapter, you're shutting a gate the enemy has walked through too many times. You are spiritually robbed while smiling in loyalty. But Michael is not showing up with pity. He's showing up with power. He has come to slice through what your heart couldn't sever on its own. You won't need to scream. You won't need revenge. But you will need courage to walk away and not return. Type I am strong to get the blessing 7171. And when you walk away, silence will scream. You'll question yourself. You'll feel pulled to reach out again, to give them one more chance. But remember, Michael didn't come to soften your emotions. He came to enforce heaven's decision. That connection is not blessed. That energy is not ordained. The longer you delay the severing, the deeper the roots of manipulation grow. This is not abandonment. It's alignment. You're not losing love. You're regaining clarity. If you obey, clarity will return like lightning. Doors will open without struggle. Delays will break. Your spiritual frequency will rise. But you must let go. Don't worry about what they'll say. Don't worry if they play the victim. The truth doesn't need defenders. It shines on its own. Michael says your job is not to convince them. Your job is to be obedient to the call. And yes, it will be lonely for a while. Yes, you will hurt. But the temporary ache is nothing compared to the heartbreak you'll endure if you stay bound to the wrong spirit. Your future depends on the cut. Heaven is watching your choice. Not just the words you say, but the action you take. This moment is holy, sacred, timed by heaven. If this word has stirred your spirit and ignited boldness within you, consider showing your support with a super thanks of $20. Your generosity empowers us to continue releasing prophetic guidance, clarity, and strength to those journeying from betrayal to blessing. You can also support our mission through PayPal donation by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every contribution makes a meaningful impact and helps us keep creating and sharing with you. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you never miss a moment of divine instruction, heavenly insight, and spirit-led guidance designed for your breakthrough. Type I am ready to get blessing 8881. Archangel Michael has watched you stand at the threshold for far too long. 1 foot in bondage, 1 foot in breakthrough. July 8th at 9:09 p.m. is not simply a timestamp. It's a divine line drawn between what was and what will be. If you hesitate, if you delay, the door you're meant to walk through will shut. Not out of punishment, but because heaven cannot allow contaminated loyalty to pass through a sacred gate. You are being called to walk through fire, but you will not be burned. You are being called to walk away, but you will not be abandoned. The enemy has used familiarity to chain you. He has taken the shape of comfort, attachment, shared memories just to keep you from making the cut. But Michael is showing you that comfort is not confirmation. History is not alignment. Some people were only supposed to walk with you to the gate, not through it. You've tried to drag them forward, but all they've done is pull you backward. And the truth is, you knew it. You knew this connection wasn't clean. You knew it came with a heaviness. But you were more loyal to potential than to your own peace. Now the door stands open, but only for a moment. The atmosphere is shifting. The angelic army has moved into formation. You're not the only one receiving this call, but not everyone will respond. You, however, have been marked. You are being awakened. Archangel Michael is not whispering anymore. He's roaring. He's shaking the spiritual ground beneath your feet so you'll finally take a step. The question is not whether he's with you. The question is, will you walk through the door before it closes? Will you trade comfort for calling? Will you choose freedom over familiarity? Type I'm aligned to get the blessing 9990. Because what waits beyond this doorway is not just protection. It is restoration. Your clarity will return. Your finances will stabilize. Your health will improve. The confusion you've carried like a second skin will peel away. Your dreams will sharpen again. Your mind will no longer spiral in fear. Because what you thought with emotional distress was actually spiritual contamination. You were yoked to someone not sent by heaven, and it poisoned your vibration. But the moment you obey, everything shifts. Not by effort, but by divine law. Heaven honors the obedient. The sword cuts, but it also frees. Michael has seen what they've said behind your back. He's heard the words they thought you'd never know. And that's why this warning feels so heavy. Because it's not just about what you suspect. It's about what you haven't yet discovered. There's a betrayal still hidden in the shadows. And Michael wants you gone before it's revealed, not after. He wants to spare you from the explosion. He wants you out of range before the lie shatters. This is not fear, it's foresight. He is guiding you to escape before impact. Not as a victim, but as a vessel chosen for greater things. Type I am escaping to get the blessing 8181. You might ask, why me? Why now? Because you're not ordinary. Your assignment is not average. That's why the attacks were so consistent. That's why every time you tried to rise, something pulled you back down. You've been in a spiritual tug-of-war, and you thought it was just life, being hard. But no, it was sabotage masked as struggle. Archangel Michael has been guarding you for years, but your silence gave the enemy access. Your hesitation opened spiritual loopholes. That ends now. You are being given divine instruction. Follow it, without delay, without apology, without compromise. When you walk away, they will notice. They will question. They may even accuse. But you must remember, you're not being rude, you're being rescued. You're not being cold, you're being called. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone needs to. Because heaven isn't calling a crowd, it's calling you. One soul, one destiny, one door. And when it closes, it will not open again. Archangel Michael does not deal in chances. He deals in timing. And this timing is divine. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. The countdown has begun, and the heavens are watching for your movement. Type I am walking through to get blessing 6363. If you obey the call, if you sever the soul tie before 9:09 p.m. on July 8th, then you will witness a shift so swift. It will feel like time itself has bent around your obedience. Archangel Michael has said, The door will not just close behind you. It will seal what once haunted you. The spirit that tormented your rest, delayed your promise, and manipulated your loyalty will no longer have access. You will feel lighter not just emotionally, but spiritually. The fog will lift. The confusion will snap. The heaviness in your chest will be gone, not by therapy but by obedience. Your alignment is tied to acceleration. That's why nothing moved while you were bound to betrayal. The enemy didn't need to steal your blessings. He only needed you tied to someone who could slow them down. And now that the tie is being cut, the blessings are being released like dammed water. Expect things to unfold fast. The job that ghosted you will call. The conversation that went quiet will restart, with clarity. The answer you've prayed for will land in your spirit without effort. When you obey the final warning, you don't just gain peace, you reclaim power. And that power will feel unfamiliar at first, because for so long you've operated from deficit. You've been surviving, not soaring. Settling, not stretching. But Archangel Michael says your wings weren't broken, they were bound. And now, unbound, they will burn with light. Your words will carry authority. Your eyes will pierce lies. You will not chase anymore what's for you will find you because nothing will be blocking your flow. You will attract what's aligned because your frequency will finally match your future. This is the reward of obedience. This is what waits for the one who says yes. Type I am free to get the blessing 4747. But be warned, once you cross over, there's no going back. This isn't a temporary fast from toxicity. This is spiritual surgery. What is removed must stay gone. Because if you return, the weight will be 7 times heavier. Not by accident, but by consequence. Heaven does not play with disobedience. You are not being warned just to be inspired. You are being commanded. You are being set apart. This is not about healing a wound. This is about amputating a root. You will walk differently after this. And those who see you won't recognize you. Not because you changed, but because you healed. There will be silence after the severing. The kind that tempts you to second guess. The enemy will whisper lies wrapped in memory. You were too harsh. They weren't that bad. Maybe you overreacted. But understand, this silence is sacred. It's a spiritual stillness meant to allow the new to unfold. Don't break it by reaching back. Don't interrupt your ascension by explaining your elevation. Michael says, you don't need to justify your obedience. You only need to walk in it. Let heaven handle the fallout. Let God expose what you were spared from. Just keep moving. Type I am healed to get the blessing 2920. And in that movement, you will see strange things begin to align. Bills paid out of nowhere. Messages you forgot to respond to now carrying favor. Dreams you dismissed suddenly returning with new meaning. This is the evidence of divine flow. This is what was always meant for you, but had been delayed by disobedience. The angels are being dispatched. Not for war this time, but for prevention. Not to guard you, but to guide you. Because you stepped into the land you were always meant to inherit. And nothing, no curse, no memory, can drag you back again. Still, you must stay vigilant. The enemy will try once more, disguised in kindness, softness, nostalgia. He'll send a message that feels too well-timed, a coincidence too sweet, a dream too warm. But remember, Michael said the warning came first. If you step back into what was, you are no longer a victim. You're a volunteer, and heaven will not interfere again. This is your moment to make the cut and never look over your shoulder. July 8th, 9:09 p.m. is not just the end of something toxic, it is the birth of something divine. Choose it. Stand in it. Walk through it. Type I am chosen again to get blessing 7272. There is always a choice. Heaven does not force obedience. He honors it. But when the voice of Archangel Michael is ignored, when the final warning is dismissed as emotional noise or spiritual exaggeration, the consequences are swift and undeniable. Because this isn't just about betrayal, it's about the door. And when the clock hits 9:09 p.m. on July 8th, the door will seal itself. Not metaphorically, but spiritually. Access will shift. What could have been easy will now be difficult. What could have been smooth will now come with thorns. Not because God is cruel, but because you didn't move when He spoke. The one who hesitates is not punished, he's exposed. The light shifts, the covering lifts, and what once was grace becomes silence. You will look around and wonder why the air feels heavier, why your prayers bounce back unanswered, why peace grows thin, and you'll convince yourself it's just a season. But it's not. It's delay wearing a disguise. It's the spiritual weight of staying too long in what heaven tried to remove. Michael's presence will remain, but his voice will grow still. Because when warning becomes routine, it loses its fire. And the divine doesn't chase, it reveals, then waits. If you ignore the call, the mask will still fall. The betrayal will still be revealed. But instead of witnessing it from a distance, you'll be standing in the middle of it. The pain will be sharper, the silence deeper, the recovery longer. Because warnings are heaven's way of lessening the blow. But if you refuse the warning, you embrace the impact. Michael's sword was meant to shield, but when you step outside that shield, the wounds come quickly. The lie you refuse to believe will become the reality you now live in. And regret is the most bitter companion of all. Type I am alert to get the blessing 3535. Heaven isn't in a business of revenge, it's in a business of revelation. If you delay your obedience, the person who was meant to be removed will reveal their true face. But it won't come gently. It'll come in a public moment. And text discovered. And truth leered. A friend's word that cuts deeper than silence. And you'll remember this message. You'll remember July 8th. You'll remember that you had the sword in your hand, but you dropped it. And that memory will sit heavy, not because you weren't loved, but because you didn't trust the love that warned you. And if you think you'll get another chance, listen carefully. There are moments that do not repeat. Time bends for obedience, not for delay. This warning is not a recurring event. It is a divine appointment. And when you miss it, you don't just lose timing, you lose alignment. You fall out of rhythm with the favor that was scheduled to meet you. The person you were meant to partner with will pass by. The opportunity designed for your hands will land in someone else's. Not as punishment, but as redirection. God always gets His work done. The only question is, will it be through you? Type I am willing now to get the blessing 9191. When Michael moves, he moves in completion. He doesn't linger. He doesn't repeat himself in vain. That's why this moment is so heavy. That's why your heart hath been stirred even as you read. Because your soul knows this message is more than poetic. It's prophetic. And you feel the clock ticking. You feel the urgency building. That's the Spirit bearing witness. Don't quiet it. Don't numb it. Don't scroll past it. You were meant to be warned so you could walk free. If you ignore it, the door you prayed for will appear locked. not because it rejected you, but because you rejected timing. This is the gravity of a divine crossroads. Two paths lie before you, one paved with protection, the other with prolonged pain. You've already tasted what delay does. You've already seen what happens when you second-guess what God whispers. Don't repeat it. Not again. This is your reset. This is your moment. If you ignore it, it may take years to circle back. But if you obey now, within the appointed time, everything shifts in days, not decades. Heaven wants you ready, not wrecked. But it will not force your hand. It will simply speak, and then watch what you do with the voice. Type I choose wisely to get blessing 4848. Obedience often feels like loss in the beginning. When you cut the tie, silence rushes in like a storm. You expect peace, but instead you're met with echoes, empty spaces where familiar voices used to be. It feels like a mistake. You look around and wonder, did I do the right thing? But Archangel Michael assures you, the storm always comes before the stillness. Obedience shakes your world not to punish you, but to prepare you. It's heaven clearing space, removing cluttered attachments so your true blessing has room to land. If you feel alone, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Because the moment you obey, the moment you walk away and refuse to look back, a spiritual escort surrounds you. Archangel Michael doesn't leave you trembling. He stands beside you in full celestial armor, sword drawn, not because danger is ahead, but because dignity must be guarded. You're not just being removed, you're being reestablished. You're not broken, you're being built. And every tear you shed in the silence is watering a seed of something sacred. Michael isn't asking you to feel nothing. He's asking you to trust everything, even what doesn't make sense yet. It's okay if you feel weak after the cut. That's normal. But don't confuse weakness with wrongness. Pain does not mean punishment. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it wasn't holy. The enemy wants to catch you in between, where you've left the old but haven't yet seen the new. You'll whisper shame, sow doubt, even disguise himself as empathy. But Michael has stationed angels around you, not to pamper you, but to preserve you. Because right now, your heart is tender, but your future is fierce. This pain will pass, this ache will lift, and your power will return. Stronger, purer, unshaken. Type I am upheld to get the blessing 4646. Your prayers are no longer hitting a ceiling. That delay you felt before, the unanswered questions, the confusion, the heaviness, that was the spiritual consequence of being out of alignment. Now that you obeyed, the heavens are open again. Clarity flows like water. Divine ideas will start waking you up in the middle of the night. Visions that make sense. Words that flow without force. The plans you once shelved because they felt blocked will now come back to life with divine timing. You won't have to chase. What's meant for you will begin to arrive without striving. And don't be surprised if things start falling into place fast. That's not luck. It's justice. Divine justice. What the enemy delayed, God is now accelerating. Not as a reward, but as a restoration. Michael has stepped in not only to protect, but to restore what you lost while you were attached to the wrong spirit. The time, energy, peace, and confidence that was drained will now return in double measure. Because heaven doesn't just remove, it repays. The months that felt wasted weren't. They were recorded. And now your repayment is set to release in this new alignment. Type I'm restored to get blessing 5151. Still, be wise in this new season. Obedience got you here, but it is awareness that will keep you here. Archangel Michael doesn't only battle with swords, he trains with wisdom. Pay attention to the people you now attract. Not everyone smiling at your glow is cheering for your growth. Some are drawn to the light just to dim it. But now, you're not the same. You've been warned, equipped, and covered. You've seen behind the mask. You know what misalignment feels like. Let your past pain be your present discernment. Walk soft but carry revelation. Smile, but never again silence your intuition. And remember, this isn't about never being heard again. It's about never being caught off guard by what you once ignored. You are now spiritually fortified. You don't just carry obedience, you carry authority. When Michael walks with you, your steps are seen. Your decisions are watched. And your life becomes a demonstration of what divine intervention really looks like. Others will ask how you did it, how you healed so quickly, how you shifted so powerfully. And your answer will be simple. I listened. I obeyed. I moved when Michael warned me, and I never looked back. If this word has resonated with your spirit and awakened fresh boldness in your heart, we invite you to sow a super thanks of $20. Your support helps us continue sharing prophetic insight, clarity, and strength with others navigating the path from betrayal to blessing. You can also partner with us through a donation via PayPal. Just click the support here link in the video description. Every gift, big or small, fuels our ability to keep delivering encouragement and truth to those who need it most. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a moment of divine direction, spirit-led revelation, and timely encouragement crafted for your breakthrough. Type I'm walking forward to get the blessing 6565. Now that you have obeyed, now that you have walked away from what was draining you, the path ahead is being cleared. Archangel Michael is no longer simply standing beside you. He is going before you. Every step you take from this moment is covered by the authority of heaven's order. Roads that once resisted will now respond. Rooms that once ignored you will begin to recognize your presence. Not because you've become louder, but because your alignment has made your presence thunder in the spirit. You are not just walking, you are being positioned for impact. This next season will not resemble the last. The chaos, the indecision, the inner war, it all ends now. You are stepping into sacred precision. What took you months to figure out before will now be answered in a moment. Delayed emails will arrive. Closed doors will unlock without knocking. But this is not the time to coast. This is the time to prepare. Michael has not fought for you just so you could feel better. He fought so you could become better, stronger, clearer, ready for the assignment that's been waiting for you since before the betrayal ever began. And that assignment begins with stewardship. Heaven does not bless for decoration. It blesses for delegation. The wisdom you've gained, the discernment you now carry, is meant to guide others. You are being entrusted with vision, strategy, solutions, and you must treat this season with sacred seriousness. No more sleeping on your gifts. No more procrastinating your call. Michael has activated your gate, and what flows through it next depends on how you handle what's been placed in your hands now. Favor is not fragile, but it is governed. And now, you have been crowned as a gatekeeper. Type I am positioned to get the blessing 3030. You may not feel ready, and that's exactly why you are. Heaven never calls the perfect. It calls the obedient. And your obedience hath opened an uncommon path. You'll begin to notice divine timing show up in bizarre ways. You'll overhear the right phrase. You'll randomly be in the right place. You'll meet someone who speaks to your next chapter without even knowing your name. This is not coincidence. This is kingdom orchestration. The chessboard has shifted. You're not a pawn anymore. You are part of heaven's royal move. And everything about your life will now begin to reflect that. Archangel Michael has made sure that no enemy from your last season can follow you here. The betrayal that once lingered has lost its right to enter this territory. Even if they call, even if they apologize, even if they change, the access is revoked. The cord is cut. You are not being cruel. You are being covered. Michael's sword doesn't just sever, it seals. And when heaven seals a boundary, even familiar faces cannot breach it. Remember this, not everyone who was sorry has changed. Some are just upset they can't manipulate you anymore. Type I am covered to get blessing 3838. Your clarity will now become your compass. No more guessing. No more spinning in circles. You will feel a new inner authority begin to rise. Decisions that once took days will now take seconds. You will begin to sense what's God and what's noise, what's alignment and what's a distraction. This is divine discernment, Michael's gift to those who trust heaven's warning. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. The more you move in it, the more favor follows. Because heaven doesn't send clarity without purpose. And you, beloved, are about to step into precise purpose. That purpose includes healing others, not through preaching, but by example. Your life itself will carry prophetic weight. Your peace will speak before your words ever do. People will feel safe in your presence, not because you coddle them, but because your spirit is anchored. This is the result of divine obedience. Michael doesn't just save, he sanctifies. He doesn't just protect, he purifies. And you are now a vessel, not just a survivor. A carrier of light, not just a story of pain. Your scars are sealed. Your season has shifted. And now your life becomes a message others will read. Type I am a vessel to get blessing 5959. Obedience never ends with you. It always echoes beyond you. When you chose to walk away on July 8th, when you severed the soul tie and stepped through the gate Archangel Michael opened, you didn't just change your present, you rewrote your lineage. There are spiritual contracts that were broken with that single act of courage. Generational delays that ended. Curses that expired. Cycles that were starved of access. You may never fully know what your yes disrupted in the spirit, but heaven recorded it. Your children, your children's children, and even those not born of your blood will benefit from this shift. That is the weight of divine obedience. It multiplies through time. What felt like a lonely decision in your now will become the foundation of someone else's freedom in their future. There are people who will never meet you yet will walk in blessing because of you. They will be spared betrayal. They will be immune to confusion. They will carry discernment naturally, not because life was easier, but because you answered the call when it mattered most. You fought the invisible war and won. And now, others can walk in what you warred for. Archangel Michael doesn't just war for individuals, he wars for bloodlines. When he appeared on July 8th at 9:09 p.m., he wasn't just guarding your soul. He was standing over your legacy, declaring to every dark spirit that has stalked your name, it ends here. He placed his blade in the soil of your future and said, this ground is now holy. His family is now marked. His soul is now sealed. You were not just fighting for peace, you were securing a prophetic inheritance. And that inheritance will speak long after you do. Heaven's records are eternal. So is your obedience. Type I am legacy to get the blessing 8484. Even now, the shift is happening. You'll notice patterns start to dissolve, old emotional triggers disappearing, familiar fears losing their grip, habits that once held you now falling off like loose skin. This is not by chance. It's the healing flowing backward and forward through time. It's God reaching into your past, healing wounds your ancestors couldn't name, while also fortifying the future you'll never see. This is generational healing, and you are the vessel heaven used to unlock it. It doesn't require applause. It only required alignment. And that, beloved, you gave when you obeyed. Do not underestimate what was cut. This soul tie wasn't just a person. It was a portal. A spiritual bridge that allowed contamination to travel through relationships, finances, time, and mental clarity. That's why the healing feels multidimensional now. You didn't just close a door, you collapsed a structure. A spiritual scaffolding that once held a system of delay, now crushed under the authority of Michael's sword. And with it gone, what's been hiding beneath begins to breathe. Your true identity, your true voice, your unshaken calling, all now rise from the rubble and take their rightful place. Type I am clean to get blessing 2626. But be wise. Legacy is not maintained by momentum alone. It is maintained by management. What you birthed in obedience must now be guarded with diligence. Your clarity must become your compass, your silence, your strategy. Everyone cannot have access to this new version of you. You are holy ground now. Conversations that once seemed harmless will now feel heavy. That's not sensitivity, that's sanctification. You're not being antisocial. You're being strategic. You are walking in anointing now, and oil attracts flies if left uncovered. Keep your spirit sealed. Keep your gates watched. The legacy you carry is too costly to gamble with comfort. Archangel Michael is not done with you. His presence may shift from warfare to wisdom, from urgency to instruction, but he is still near. You will begin to sense his voice in quiet nudges, dream instructions, unusual peace in risky decisions. That is how heaven trains legacy carriers, not through noise, but through nuance. You're no longer being dragged, you're being developed. Your life is a template now, a scroll being written by your choices. And every time you honor the shift, heaven stamps it, approved. Every time you walk away from what doesn't match, angels whisper, she remembers. Type I protect the shift to get the blessing 4741. Obedience creates resonance. When you severed the tie and walked through the door on July 8th at 9:09 p.m., your entire spiritual frequency shifted. You no longer vibrate at the level of survival. You're now aligned with destiny, and destiny draws destiny. The people who were meant for your next level are already being stirred. Some are waking up from dreams with your name in their mouth. Others feel a pull in their spirit they can't explain yet, but heaven can. You may not know their names now, but your obedience just gave heaven permission to release them toward you. These divine connections are not coming to fix you. They are coming because you're already healed. You're no longer attracting what mirrors your brokenness. You're attracting what confirms your wholeness. These people won't need your explanation to recognize your spirit. They'll see your light before you speak. They'll respect your peace before you tell your story. These are not seasonal supporters. These are covenant connections, heaven assigned, kingdom timed, spiritually equipped. They've been through their own fire and emerged with oil. They are not here to compete. They are here to co-build. And don't be surprised when they arrive with answers to prayers you've forgotten you prayed. That's how Archangel Michael orchestrates, through divine overlap. One person's obedience answers another's cry. Your healed space has become fertile ground for heavenly encounters. This is where elevation begins to manifest through alignment. Business doors will open. Collaborations will birth without striving. Friendships will flourish with no masks. And love, real love, will approach not as chaos but as calm. Not as temptation but as truth. Because you've made room for what is pure by removing what was poisoned. I welcome divine connection to get the blessing 7878. You must now steward your circle with spiritual intelligence. The days of entertaining everyone who knocks are over. Access is no longer random. It's relational, discerned, filtered by spirit. You're not building popularity. You're building purpose. Some people will seem perfect on paper but will feel heavy in your atmosphere. Trust that. That is Michael's warning wrapped in silence. Don't override peace just because someone shows up with potential. Your legacy demands alignment, not attachment. The gate is narrow now. Let only those with clean hands and pure hearts walk through it. Michael will also test your gatekeeping. Some familiar faces may return, not to reconnect, but to test your boundaries. They'll come sounding healed but carrying the same spirit. Don't fall for it. Restoration is real, but discernment is your shield. If God hasn't confirmed it, don't reopen it. Some doors were closed permanently, and your new circle cannot be built with fragments of the old one. Obedience is not just what you walk away from, it's also what you refuse to revisit. Guide the frequency you fought for. Your new connections depend on it. I protect my gate to get blessing 9190. In the coming days, you'll sense moments of divine deja vu. You'll find yourself in places, conversations, or environments that feel eerily familiar, not because you've been there before, but because your spirit has. These are prophetic alignments catching up to your obedience. Don't shrink in those moments. Don't question why you're there. Walk with confidence. Speak with grace. Your presence was scheduled by heaven. Michael has already cleared the atmosphere. You're not arriving late. You're arriving on time, in sync with your assignment. And you will know these are divine appointments because they won't drain you. They'll multiply you. You'll leave conversations feeling full, not emptied. You'll walk away with clarity, not confusion. That's how you'll know it's heaven's doing. Divine connections don't compete, they complete. And the more you move in that space, the more you'll see your influence stretch. Not as a platform, but as a pulse. Your life is now living prophecy. Your obedience has made you a magnet for miracles, and Michael is assigning angels to maintain that charge. If this word has ignited something in your spirit and stirred fresh courage within you, we encourage you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support enables us to continue releasing prophetic words that bring clarity, healing, and hope to those moving from betrayal into breakthrough. You can also donate through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every seed sown strengthens our ability to speak life and truth into the lives of others. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of spirit-led wisdom, prophetic direction, and divine encouragement tailored to your season of transformation. I am ready for my circle to get blessing 5656. There comes a moment after healing, after obedience, after divine separation, where heaven stops pulling you out and starts sending you in. You're no longer just protected. You are positioned. Archangel Michael has not just cut away the counterfeit. He's now assigning your authority. Your life is no longer simply about survival or stability. You've crossed over into kingdom responsibility. Your voice carries a weight now. Your story carries oil. Your atmosphere speaks before you open your mouth. And your words, when surrendered to heaven, will not fall to the ground empty. Because of your obedience on July 8th at 9:09 p.m., you have been marked for prophetic release. No, not necessarily with a microphone, but with a mantle. The weight of your journey is now the weight of your calling. What you endured, what you walked through, what you said no to, it has earned you access to hearts still trapped in what you've left behind. And when you speak, it will break chains. When you write, it will stir courage. When you walk into a room, things will shift, not because of ego, but because you carry evidence. You are the proof of deliverance. Michael is now standing behind you as a witness to your word. When you release truth, it will travel fast. When you stand firm in your light, deception around you will crumble. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. You are no longer the one needing rescuing. You are now the one heaven uses to rescue others. Your presence is a war cry to darkness. Your life is a lighthouse. And everywhere you go from this moment, divine eyes are watching, not to judge, but to follow. Someone is waiting for your obedience to echo into their confusion. And when it does, they will rise too. I accept my mantle to get the blessing 6262. This doesn't mean you must have all the answers. Prophetic authority is not about perfection. It's about posture. It's about living in such alignment that your life becomes a surrendered instrument. Archangel Michael is not asking for performance. He is asking for persistence. You will be called to speak when it's uncomfortable, to walk away when it would be easier to say, to shine when the room tries to dim you. But every time you obey, the power on your life multiplies. And heaven makes note. The more you surrender, the more you're trusted. That's the cycle of prophetic elevation. People may begin to ask for your insight. They will feel drawn to your peace. Don't be surprised when strangers ask how you just knew. It's not coincidence. It's your spirit in operation. You've been trained in fire, and now your wisdom is flame. You don't just feel, you discern. You don't just sense energy, you detect spirits. And this level of vision is why you had to be purified first. Heaven doesn't give clarity to those still entangled. You had to be emptied to be accurate. Now that you are, you will begin to see things others miss. I speak what I see to get blessing 4446. You'll feel assignments before they arrive. You'll sense tension in rooms others call fine. You'll wake up with instructions, not anxiety. This is what prophetic responsibility feels like. It's weight, not hype. And with it comes a deeper need for silence, solitude, and sacred space. Michael will continue to whisper, not shout. You'll hear him not in crowds, but in consecration. Protect that space. Protect your altar. Don't trade sacred downloads for social distractions. This isn't a platform season. It's a purity season. You're not being raised to be seen. You're being trusted to reveal. And what you reveal will change lives. Not because you planned it, but because you obeyed. That's how heaven works. Divine timing through human yes. Someone will weep after hearing your story. Another will break free from addiction after reading your words. Someone will forgive a betrayal after seeing how you overcame yours. This is your influence, not manufactured, but multiplied. Heaven is not looking for more noise. It's looking for vessels. And Michael says you are ready. You've been forged. You've been faithful. and now you are being released. Type I am a vessel of truth to get blessing 7575. It begins quietly. A call you weren't expecting. A message that comes with no explanation but carries everything you've been waiting for. The door you forgot about opens, not with force, but with grace. This is how the fruit of obedience begins to ripen. Slowly at first, then suddenly. Archangel Michael didn't ask you to walk through that spiritual fire just for survival. He led you through it so that you would become fertile ground for favor. Now the seeds you didn't even realize you planted, sown in tears, watered in silence, are beginning to grow. This season will feel surreal because it won't match your effort. It will exceed it. People will look at your harvest and assume it came overnight. They won't see the nights you wrestled with silence, the mornings you doubted and obeyed anyway, the private wars you won with no applause. But Michael saw. Heaven tracked every quiet yes. And now, your fruit is public. Not for vanity, but for validation. God is not showing off with your life. He's revealing what obedience looks like in full bloom. You are the living evidence that obedience unlocks acceleration. Your finances will no longer drip. They will flow. Ideas that once felt blocked will now burst forth. You'll sit in rooms you used to pray about. You'll hold what once felt out of reach. And the beauty is, none of it will make you arrogant. It will make you even more surrendered. Because when you realize it came from heaven, not from hustle, gratitude becomes your posture. And that's why more keeps coming. Because heaven can trust hands that remain open. You didn't chase the blessing. You chased the voice. And the voice led you to the blessing. Type I receive my harvest to get the blessing 6868. Now comes the phase where people begin to ask, how? How did you turn things around so quickly? How did you rise from what should have buried you? How did you glow after that level of betrayal? And your answer will not be complicated. You'll say it calmly, clearly, confidently. I listened. I obeyed. I left when I was told to. I stayed when I didn't understand why. I followed the warning, and I trusted the silence. And that will shake them more than any sermon. Because your life is now your loudest message. Michael didn't just fight for your escape. He established your credibility. You're not just the one who survived, you are the one who knew when to move. And in a world full of noise, your discernment will carry a rare weight. People will be drawn to your stillness, not your success. To your poise, not your platform. Because you carry the weight of someone who has seen the sword and lived to speak about it. Your scars are sealed. Your voice is stable. And your steps are now synchronized with the kingdom. Type I walk with clarity to get blessing 3939. You'll also begin to notice something subtle but sacred. Resistance no longer touches you the same way. What used to derail you now simply brushes off. That's not because life rutties you. It's because your spirit got stronger. You've built spiritual stamina. Heaven has fortified your frame. And now, distractions bounce off the shield of your discernment. You're no longer tempted by what glitters. You recognize false alignment before it even finishes speaking. That's what fruit does. It doesn't just feed others, it protects the tree it came from. But be wise. New fruit will always attract old watchers. There are those who left you in your pruning season who will now try to return in your harvest. They'll act as if they never doubted you. They'll pretend they didn't ghost you when you were in pain. But Michael says this, let the fruit speak, but let the boundary remain. Not everyone who claps now deserves a seat at your table. Forgive them, yes, but don't invite them back to what they abandoned. You are no longer available for those who only love you in your bloom. I protect my garden to get the blessing 5050. Elevation can be deceiving if not anchored in remembrance. The same doors you used to knock on are now opening at the mention of your name. The very people who once overlooked you now speak your name in rooms you've never entered. But as you step into this divine visibility, Archangel Michael leans close and whispers, "Don't forget how you got here. It wasn't charm. It wasn't favor from man. It was obedience. You did what most couldn't do. You walked away from what you wanted in order to receive what heaven had assigned. The enemy doesn't only attack the broken. He also pursues the rising. He knows if he can't derail your start, he'll try to distort your success. That's why Michael stands guard even now, not in the shadows, but at the edge of every opportunity. His blade is still drawn, not against visible enemies, but against the temptation to forget your altar. Your success is not your source. Your harvest is not your God. Your influence is not your identity. You are who you are because you said yes when it hurt, not because it now shines. This season will test not just your gifts, but your grounding. Can you walk in favor without forgetting the fire? Can you speak to crowds and still listen to the quiet? Can you be honored and still remain hidden in your spirit? Michael reminds you, you are not sustained by applause, you are sustained by alignment. And alignment requires memory. Every time you feel pride rising, remember the nights you cried. Every time you're tempted to flex, recall the season you begged heaven for relief. These reminders are not weakness, they are your roots. Type I remember my altar to get the blessing 8180. You must protect your oil with the same intensity you once used to pursue it. You cried for this clarity. You fasted for this discernment. You obeyed at the cost of comfort. Don't trade it now for platform attention or short-term being. Everyone applauding you isn't assigned to you. Everyone supporting you now didn't intercede when you were down. Michael says, honor the fruit, but protect the vine. The vine is your prayer life, your obedience, your solitude. These are the wells you drink from when the crowd fades. Familiar spirits will try to find you again, but they'll wear better clothing this time. The spirit of distraction doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it looks like opportunity. You'll be invited into rooms that feel right, but something deep in your spirit will say no. Listen. That voice is not your fear, it's your guide. You're not here to impress. You're here to impact. Michael didn't carry you through warfare just to let you fall for glamour. You refined your eyes so you could see beyond the surface. Now use them. Type I guard my oil to get blessing 3737. Heaven is watching how you steward this stage. Not just the literal one, but the invisible one, your home, your influence, your rhythm. Are you still waking up early to listen? Are you still seeking before speaking? Are you still fasting when your flesh demands indulgence? These disciplines are not legalism. They are loyalty, not to rules, but to the God who trusted you with this rise. Michael reminds you, you are still in battle, even in favor, because the enemy is more threatened now than ever. Not because of your blessings, but because of your impact. Don't be surprised if things you used to tolerate now irritate your spirit. It's not arrogance, it's anointing. Your tolerance for chaos will drop. Your appetite for small talk will fade. That's heaven shifting your palate. You've been upgraded, and upgrades come with new instructions. Obedience isn't just for crisis, it's for stewardship. Michael's sword may no longer be breaking chains, but it is still drawing lines. And those lines matter now more than ever. Protect your elevation with discipline. Don't just maintain it, multiply it for the kingdom. Type I walk with wisdom to get blessing 9292. July 8th at 9:09 p.m. was not just a moment, it was a movement. The heavens aligned, time held its breath, and Archangel Michael released a final warning. You listened. You didn't scroll past. You didn't brush it off. You leaned in. And because you did, heaven leaned back toward you. You broke the cycle. You severed the soul tie. You crossed the threshold. And now, the rest of your life carries the echo of that obedience. What was meant to destroy you will now serve as proof of who you really are. You are not who you were before that hour. You've been refined, sealed, reassigned. Michael didn't just protect you, he promoted you. You are no longer the hunted. You are the voice that causes demons to tremble. You are no longer the wounded. You are the one who carries keys to freedom for others. And the beauty of it all is this: you didn't need a stage. You didn't need applause. You only needed a yes. And heaven multiplied that yes into legacy, authority, light. And now, you move not as a victim of betrayal, but as a builder of breakthrough. So go forward, with grace, with courage, with discernment. Never forget what you walked away from. Never silence what you've stepped into. The sword that once shielded you now goes before you. The voice that once whispered now thunders through your purpose. And the God who once warned you now walks beside you. You are aligned. You are prepared. You are sealed. And no weapon formed against you will ever prosper, not because it will be formed, but because it can't touch what God has already claimed. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for regular prophetic guidance, deep spiritual insight, and powerful words that keep you aligned with heaven's rhythm. Type I am sealed in obedience to get the blessing 3636.